5,000 American troops surrounded on three sides by 15,000 enemy forces, with fourth side blocked by terrain, impassable for tactical withdrawal. 18 hours from encirclement recognition to successful breakout through enemy positions that Doctrine said would require either reinforcement matching enemy numbers or accepting catastrophic casualties, attempting escape against overwhelming force. What American forces accomplished during those 18 hours wasn't just surviving tactical situation, designed to eliminate surrounded force. It was conducting coordinated operation, employing every military domain simultaneously: space, air, sea, land, cyber, and electromagnetic spectrum, creating effects that Doctrine says require weeks of preparation and resources far exceeding what surrounded force possessed. But the reason why 5,000 Americans broke out against 15,000 enemy has nothing to do with superior tactics or better equipment. It was one operational decision American commanders made that violated every principle of surrounded force doctrine, but enabled coordination across domains that encircling enemy couldn't counter because they'd never encountered military operations where space-based assets, carrier aviation, cyber warfare, and ground forces operated as single synchronized system. And understanding how that coordination actually worked requires waiting for revelation that changes everything about multi-domain operations and the command structures enabling integration conventional doctrine says is impossible under tactical conditions. Just weeks ago, American Expeditionary Force conducting operations in contested territory found themselves tactically isolated when enemy forces executed envelopment maneuver cutting lines of communication and surrounding American position on three sides with impassable terrain on fourth. Standard doctrine for surrounded forces emphasizes establishing defensive perimeter, preserving combat power, and awaiting relief from external forces. American commanders assessed relief would take days, requiring defending against enemy assault that 15,000 troops could sustain until American defenses collapsed through attrition. Alternatively, attempting breakout meant assaulting prepared enemy positions while enemy could concentrate fires against predictable American movement. Either option accepted significant casualties, with uncertain success probability. American battalion commander made unconventional decision. Rather than defending or attempting conventional breakout, surrounded force would conduct multi-domain offensive operation, creating effects that would force enemy to withdraw from encirclement positions, enabling American escape without direct assault against prepared defenses. That decision required coordination capabilities. Doctrine assumes surrounded tactical units don't possess because integration across domains typically requires theater-level command structures with time for planning that surrounded forces lack. Welcome to the NavyChronicle, where modern warfare meets operational innovation. Hour 0. American forces recognized full scope of encirclement. Enemy had positioned 15,000 troops, controlling terrain dominating American position. Standard defensive preparation began, establishing fighting positions, allocating ammunition, preparing casualty collection. But battalion commander initiated something. Doctrine doesn't typically authorize tactical commanders to conduct direct coordination with strategic assets across multiple domains. Using satellite communications that's survivable even under enemy jamming, commander established contact with carrier strike group operating several hundred kilometers away, Space Command controlling reconnaissance satellites, Cyber Command capable of attacking enemy networks, and Special Operations Forces that could conduct operations behind enemy lines. That multi-domain coordination network was possible because American military had recently fielded new command system, enabling tactical commanders to access strategic assets directly rather than requesting support through traditional command hierarchy, requiring time-surrounded forces didn't have. System was controversial because it gave tactical commanders authorities, normally reserved for operational-level headquarters, but surrounded situation. Justified employing capabilities, Doctrine had been hesitant to delegate. Hour 3. Multi-domain operation planning completed. Not through traditional deliberate planning requiring staff officers developing detailed orders, but through collaborative planning, where commanders across domains simultaneously developed synchronized approach. Space Command would provide continuous reconnaissance tracking enemy positions. Carrier aviation would conduct strikes against enemy artillery and reserves. Cyber Command would attack enemy communications, preventing coordination. Special Operations Forces would conduct diversionary attacks, making enemy believe. American Breakout would occur different location than actual route. Ground forces would conduct movement during window and multi-domain effects, created maximum enemy disruption. That synchronized approach required timing precision measured in minutes across operations, spanning hundreds of kilometers, and involving units that had never trained together. Conventional doctrine says such coordination is impossible without extensive rehearsal and detailed planning, that situations require weeks. American forces had hours to plan and execute operation where timing errors would result in surrounded force being destroyed attempting breakout without support materializing when needed. Hour 6, operation began with space domain effects. Reconnaissance satellites repositioned, providing continuous coverage of enemy positions surrounding American force. That intelligence wasn't analyzed through traditional process where imagery is reviewed by intelligence analysts who then produce reports for commanders to read. It was direct feed where tactical commanders saw real-time enemy positions, enabling immediate decision-making about movement routes and timing. Additionally, Space Command employed classified capability, GPS jamming targeted specifically at enemy forces. American forces had backup navigation systems, enabling them to operate during GPS denial. But enemy forces relying on GPS for coordination and artillery targeting found systems degraded. That space domain effect didn't directly destroy enemy capabilities, but reduced coordination effectiveness, creating confusion that subsequent domain effects would exploit. Hour 9, air domain effects commenced. Carrier-based aircraft struck enemy artillery positions and reserve concentrations identified through space-based reconnaissance. Strikes weren't preparatory bombardment attempting to destroy all threats. That would require ammunition, and time surrounded forces didn't have. Instead, strikes targeted specific units that reconnaissance identified as critical for enemy encirclement, preventing their employment during American Breakout. Enemy air defense attempted to engage American aircraft, but cyber domain effects had already degraded enemy air defense networks. Cyber Command had penetrated enemy command systems through vulnerabilities intelligence had previously identified, but not exploited, waiting for operation where cyber effects would provide maximum tactical value. Cyber attacks didn't destroy enemy networks, but introduced false information and timing delays that reduced air defense effectiveness, enabling carrier aircraft to conduct strikes with reduced losses. Hour 12. Ground domain effects began. American forces initiated movement toward breakout route that multi-domain intelligence indicated was weakly defended. Movement wasn't traditional tactical formation, where units maintained cohesion moving together. It was distributed approach, where small units moved independently, using routes reconnaissance indicated were unobserved, while larger units created diversions, making enemy believe main breakout was occurring elsewhere. That distributed movement exploited enemy confusion created by cyber attacks, degrading their communications and space effects, denying GPS coordination. Enemy forces, attempting to concentrate against American movement, found orders delayed and positions misreported because cyber effects had compromised command networks. American units moving through gaps in enemy lines were detected, but enemy response was uncoordinated because command systems couldn't effectively direct forces to interdict movement that was occurring faster than enemy could process information and issue orders. Hour 15. Final domain effects employed. Special operations forces that had infiltrated behind enemy lines 12 hours earlier attacked enemy headquarters and logistics facilities, creating impression American relief forces had arrived threatening enemy rear areas. Those attacks were diversions. Special operations teams, numbered only dozens, couldn't threaten enemy forces, numbering thousands, but created uncertainty that forced enemy commanders allocating forces to defend against threats that didn't actually exist. Simultaneously, electromagnetic warfare systems, American ground forces, had maintained silent until this moment activated jamming enemy communications across entire encirclement area. That jamming prevented enemy from coordinating response to American breakout occurring simultaneously with special operations diversions. Enemy forces found themselves unable to communicate, uncertain about American intentions, and facing threats from multiple directions that they couldn't coordinate responses against because command networks were compromised and electromagnetic jamming prevented alternative communications. Hour 18. 5,000 troops had escaped encirclement with casualties far below what Doctrine predicted for attempting breakout against superior enemy force. Enemy suffered higher casualties from airstrikes, special operations attacks, and engagements with American units conducting breakout than Americans suffered attempting escape. Strategic assessment concluded. Operation demonstrated capabilities that multi-domain coordination enables when tactical commanders have authorities and systems to employ strategic assets directly. Surrounded force, that Doctrine said, required either reinforcement or accepting heavy casualties to escape had conducted offensive operation, creating effects enabling breakout through coordination that conventional command structures couldn't have achieved within time available. Enemy encirclement failed, not because American forces had superior numbers or firepower, but because American coordination across domains created effects enemy couldn't counter through conventional military operations. Now for revelation that reframes entire operation. Remember how American battalion commander coordinated directly with strategic assets across multiple domains using new command system that gave tactical commanders unprecedented authorities. That command system wasn't experimental technology being tested under combat conditions. It was deliberate, doctrinal innovation American military had developed specifically for situations. American strategic command had recognized that future warfare would increasingly involve distributed operations where tactical units might be isolated, requiring access to strategic capabilities without time for traditional command hierarchy to process requests and approve support. New command system and authorities delegating control of strategic assets to tactical commanders were designed specifically enabling surrounded or isolated forces to conduct multi-domain operations. This encirclement was first operational employment, proving that doctrinal innovation, enabling tactical access to strategic capabilities, changes what surrounded forces can accomplish. Enemy had executed tactically sound encirclement, but hadn't anticipated American forces possessed command capabilities, enabling coordination doctrine, says surrounded tactical units can't achieve. American success wasn't improvisation by creative commander, but execution of doctrine specifically developed for such situations, waiting for operational employment to validate concepts that conventional military thinking considered impossible. Think about implications for military command philosophy and operational doctrine. Traditional command structure is hierarchical, where tactical commanders request support from operational headquarters who coordinate strategic assets, delivering effects based on priorities and timelines that often don't align with tactical requirements. American innovation delegated authorities enabling tactical commanders directly employing strategic assets when tactical situations require immediate coordination that traditional hierarchy can't provide rapidly enough. That delegation is controversial because it gives junior commanders authorities over resources and capabilities traditionally controlled by senior headquarters. But this operation demonstrated such delegation enables tactical units to conduct operations that conventional command structures would prevent through time delays inherent in hierarchical approval processes. Future American doctrine will increasingly emphasize distributed command, where authorities are delegated to lowest appropriate level, enabling rapid coordination that conventional structures cannot match. For enemy forces, this operation revealed American military operates with command authorities and integration capabilities that conventional military organizations don't possess. Enemy had executed tactically sound encirclement, expecting American forces would either defend and be destroyed through attrition or attempt breakout and suffer heavy casualties, assaulting prepared positions. Neither scenario occurred because American forces conducted multi-domain offensive operation that encircling enemy hadn't anticipated isolated tactical unit could execute. Future enemy operations must account for American tactical units possessing capabilities to coordinate strategic assets, creating effects that isolated forces normally cannot generate. That creates enormous uncertainty for enemy operational planning because conventional assumptions about what isolated American forces can accomplish are obsolete when tactical commanders possess authorities enabling coordination across domains. Enemy forces executing encirclement operations face unknown about whether American forces they're attempting to trap can conduct coordinated operations that will make encirclement fail despite enemy having superior numbers and tactical positions. For American military, Operation validated controversial doctrinal innovation that had faced institutional resistance from traditional command culture, emphasizing centralized control, delegating authorities to tactical commanders, enabling direct coordination with strategic assets, challenges military cultural preferences for hierarchical command where senior headquarters control employment of strategic capabilities. But operational success, demonstrated distributed command, enables effects that centralized structures cannot achieve when tactical situations require rapid coordination. Future American doctrine will incorporate lessons about when distributed, command provides advantages outweighing risks of delegating authorities to tactical level. Success will encourage expanding authorities, enabling tactical commanders to employ capabilities traditionally controlled by operational or strategic headquarters. That represents fundamental shift in military command philosophy from centralized control toward distributed execution, where tactical commanders possess authorities enabling immediate coordination rather than requesting support through hierarchical structures. The broader lesson applies across military operations and organizational design. Hierarchical command structures provide control and coordination at cost of speed and flexibility. Distributed command delegates authorities, enabling rapid decision-making at cost of centralized control and potential coordination challenges. American military innovation recognized future warfare increasingly involves distributed operations where speed advantages of delegated authorities outweigh control advantages of hierarchical structures. This operation proved distributed command enables tactical units to conduct operations conventional structures would prevent through approval delays inherent in hierarchy. That demonstrates successful military organizations must balance centralization, providing control against delegation, enabling speed, accepting that optimal structure varies based on operational context rather than universal preference for either centralization or delegation. Which factor dominated this operation? A. Superior American training and equipment.
B. Poor enemy execution of encirclement operations. C. Doctrinal innovation, enabling tactical commanders directly coordinating strategic assets across multiple domains through command. Authorities' conventional doctrine doesn't delegate to tactical level. The answer is C. American training and equipment mattered. Enemy execution was tactically sound. But decisive factor was command system and authorities enabling surrounded battalion commander to coordinate space-based reconnaissance, carrier aviation, cyber warfare, special operations, and electromagnetic effects simultaneously. 5,000 Americans broke out against 15,000 enemy because tactical commander possessed capabilities Doctrine traditionally reserves for operational headquarters, enabling coordination that created effects encircling enemy couldn't counter. Success validated doctrinal innovation, challenging conventional military preference for centralized command, proving distributed authorities enable operations that hierarchical structures cannot achieve within time constraints tactical situations impose. Can adversaries develop countermeasures against American distributed command capabilities? Yes, but with difficulty. Developing comparable command systems requires technical capabilities most militaries lack and cultural willingness to delegate authorities. Even matching technology doesn't guarantee matching effectiveness, because distributed command requires training and doctrine emphasizing initiative that hierarchical military cultures often suppress. American advantage demonstrated here extends beyond technology to organizational approach,
enabling tactical commanders to employ strategic capabilities. That advantage persists because it's built on both technical systems and cultural acceptance of delegated authorities that competitors struggle replicating even when they understand conceptually what American forces have achieved. Enemy forces attempting to counter American distributed command face challenge that solutions require institutional changes as much as technical development, making American advantage persistent rather than easily overcome. What does this mean for future military operations? Tactical units increasingly will conduct operations employing strategic assets through distributed command authorities, enabling coordination conventional structures cannot achieve. American military will expand delegation of authorities. Recognizing this operation proved tactical commanders can effectively employ capabilities traditionally controlled by higher headquarters when command systems enable coordination and training. Future doctrine will emphasize distributed execution, where tactical success depends on commanders' ability to coordinate across domains rather than following detailed plans developed by operational headquarters. That represents transformation from command structures, where tactical units execute plans developed by higher headquarters, toward structures where tactical units develop and execute operations using strategic capabilities made available through delegated authorities and enabling command systems. This operation proves surrounded tactical forces can conduct multi-domain offensive operations, achieving effects doctrine says require operational-level resources and planning timelines when distributed. Command enables tactical commanders directly coordinating strategic assets. 5,000 Americans broke out from encirclement by 15,000 enemy through coordinating space reconnaissance, carrier aviation, cyber warfare, special operations, and electromagnetic effects simultaneously. 18 hours from encirclement recognition to successful breakout through operation, that conventional doctrine says isolated tactical units cannot execute because coordination requires command structures and planning time-surrounded forces don't possess. Success, validated doctrinal innovation. Delegating authorities, enabling tactical access to strategic capabilities, proving distributed command, creates options that centralized structures prevent through approval delays inherent in hierarchical command. Future warfare requires addressing balance between centralized control and distributed execution. Recognizing optimal command structure depends on operational context, rather than universal preference for centralization. Subscribe to TheNavyChronicle, where modern warfare meets operational innovation, where 5,000 surrounded Americans demonstrate distributed command enables tactical units to conduct multi-domain operations. Conventional doctrine says require operational headquarters to coordinate, where 18-hour breakout proves doctrinal innovation. Delegating strategic authorities to tactical commanders creates capabilities that hierarchical command structures cannot match, where operational success validates controversial organizational approaches, challenging military cultural preferences for centralized control, proving distributed execution enables coordination speed that tactical situations require, where future warfare demands addressing command philosophy, recognizing that organizations succeeding will be those balancing centralization advantages against delegation benefits, optimizing structures for operational context rather than imposing universal command approaches regardless of tactical requirements.